There is so much talk about different learning styles, work-life balance, and just higher education all around. But what about the importance of building relationships in higher education? Where's the conversation about that? Positive relationships anywhere are important and foster the willingness to learn and to continue to be in that environment. According to the American Psychological Association, teachers who foster positive relationships with their students create classroom environments more conducive to learning and not only meets developmental needs, but emotional needs and academic needs of the students. A student who feels a personal connection with their teacher will talk more frequently in class and receive constructive guidance and praise. This praise, rather than criticism, is likely to gain the trust of a teacher. The student is more likely to engage in the learning and achieve higher in class academically. By an analysis of the Review of Educational Research of 46 studies found that when teacher-student relationships are strong, improvements are seen in key areas that go on to be academic engagement, attendance, grades, and even school dropouts. Developing and maturing trusting relationships between these students and teachers are central and vital to building trauma-sensitive learning environments. And these trauma-sensitive environments and schools recognize that educators need support, just like students, in planning time to prioritize developing positive, caring, and collaborative relationships with each other so that they can prioritize building relationships with students to help students feel welcome and safe. With student attendance being super wonky and jeopardized by the remote or hybrid learning in all around the country, it has become increasingly imperative that schools and universities not let up on staying connected with these students. They must remain focused on creating and maintaining these learning environments, whether in person or remote, that support and strengthen relationships, trust, and respect between both teachers and students. Now, unfortunately, knowing that building relationships is key and being able to successfully do so are two very separate things. With that, it is key to understand the idea of rapport in the classroom. Now, rapport is tricky to understand. Perhaps it is why there's a plethora of literature on college and universities that teaching essentially ignores it. Rapport has been avoided in favor of other variables such as methods of teaching, modes of testing, and techniques of assessing effectiveness, which can be more readily conceptualized and manipulated. Nevertheless, it's worth considering the role of rapport of it for no other reason than it contributes to effective teaching. How can we build rapport, you ask? Well, there are tons of tips, but some quick ones. Be sincere. That's the biggest thing. Be sincere. Students can feel the lack of sincerity all around. 2, explain course policies in depth and why they are the way they are. Be readily available to support and provide aid to students. And lastly, post and keep office hours. This is imperative. Students use these office hours for discovery, aid, all things like that. And all of these tips fall on how you will learn your teacher's needs and interests. If all things are kept up and you're able to figure these things out by simply being present. Through the continued desire to understand our students, we must come to the same understanding that underlies that we will also be challenged with the differing minds that we welcome and we come across. Specifically, what do we do to address viewpoints in our class that differ from our own? The big answer: understand and confront your bias. On whatever the circumstances, understand your bias. Most of us aren't even aware of the prejudices that we have, and we believe that our point of view is fact. This is not always true. So be open to understanding your bias. Address the viewpoints, discuss the viewpoints, reflect on the viewpoints. Remember that students are not the only ones that are learning each day. As educators, we are learning too. Supporting culture and diversity in the classroom checks so many boxes for so many things. Very importantly, though, it checks many boxes that are close to the Christian world checklist. In Galatians 5, verse 22 through 23, It says, but the fruit of the Spirit is love, joy, peace, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, and self-control. All of these, especially love, kindness, and goodness, are all a part of the process needed when we are supporting others, no matter what. So all around, these relationships are vital, not only in the classroom, but in our everyday lives. And it's important for us to remember so.